But hey, this Oklahoma Sooners defense is going to get a bit of a test this week when the Green Wave come to town. Where can Oklahoma win? Let's discuss coming up next on Lockers.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners defense gets another test. I know it's a little bit different than Houston, but with the Tulane Green Wave coming to town, they've got a really, really good offense led by a really good true freshman quarterback.
Yeah, I like Darian Mensah. He's pretty solid. I know that he was kind of banged up in the Kansas State game. If I'm correct, Ty Thompson had to play a little bit at the end of that game. So this is going to be a great test on our secondary because Mensah likes to chunk it, right? Now, he doesn't go deep, right? I think he's only thrown, 9 passes over 20 yards this season. Most of them have been between the 10, the 0 and the 10 yard, or actually 0 and the 20. 19, so he's still... Yeah, in the 19. So he's still throwing some intermediate passes, and he likes to chunk it. He also likes to move, but he doesn't really run. He just scrambles around the pocket to find an opportunity and wait for his guys to get open, which will definitely stress our secondary. This is the game that's going to be where the secondary and the linebacker room is going to be able to prove their worth. The defensive line also. The faster you get to Mensah or you bottle him up and you contain him, the much better off that we're going to be. And so, John, I'm looking at this one as the game that should prepare us, honestly, for Tennessee. We're kind of getting lucky with the ramp-up games, right? As we're going through it, right? You got Temple that ramped you right into Houston. And Houston, honestly, the way Donovan Smith with his dinking and dunking, the way that he was very careful with the ball, he's gotten very careful, is leading you to Mensah, who's a little bit more aggressive with the way that he chunks it. And then you're going to go into Josh Heupel veer and shoot offense with Nico throwing it. We're building ourselves up defensively. And so if the secondary shows out in this game, this could really be the thing that lets us know what this defense is going to look like this season.
Yeah, if they're able to stop the run a little bit, slow down Mekhi Hughes, I think that gives them a good chance to be really good at the back end and containing Mario Williams. Mario Williams is off to a great start, man, this season. He had 6 catches, 128 yards against Kansas State. Looks really, really good. He looks the part, right? He looks the part of a dude that is going to be a big-time contributor for the Green Wave this year. And again, why you don't give up on a guy. You keep developing because you see that the talent is there. This is going to be a tough offense to contain. Mekhi Hughes last week, 21 carries, 128 yards and a touchdown. Mario Williams, 6 for 128, average 21.3 yards per reception. Darian Mensah, 19 for 29, 65.5% completion, 342 yards, averaged 11.8 yards per attempt. So you're seeing a guy that's playing very efficient football. He's also pushing the ball down the field, and they're making big plays in the passing game. So it's going to be a big, big test. I think what benefits Oklahoma here is they've been really good against the run in the first couple of weeks of the season. They're one of the best run defenses in the country, and that's where it's going to start for them. But I expect Tulane to try and keep things opened up by attacking them through the air early and forcing Oklahoma to back off a little bit. But I think Oklahoma's got the guys up front in Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, Ethan Downs, and with the linebacker crew led by Danny Stutzman, that they can play 2 high safeties, not have to commit a bunch to the box, and still be effective against the run game.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. That actually makes a lot of sense in the whole grand scheme of what we know that this team is going to want to run. The goal here is get them off the field as fast as possible. So this is also a good test. Not only the interior guys, we know that they're going to do their work. They've been doing it. It's time for the edges to show us what they're made of as well, right? Interior guys and linebackers I'm solid with. I'm very high on our secondary, but we haven't been tested the way that we need to be tested against teams that's going to try as vertical or teams that's going to test us out with yak. Tulane's going to be the one, and I think that we'll be up for the test. Again, this defense is going to carry us to majority of the wins this season. If this defense can carry us to double-digit wins this season, yeah, we've got a very good chance to do some special stuff. So this is going to be the best test leading us right into the SEC because honestly, when you get into offenses, you'll have Tennessee, you'll have Texas, you'll have Ole Miss, and then you'll have Missouri that you really have to worry about. And then you'll have to go in the season, depending on how these teams look, Alabama and LSU.
Yeah, I think we'll find out a lot more about this team. I think we feel really, really good about the direction. I feel really good about who this team is. It's just they need to keep passing tests, Yep. It's building. It's stacking good day upon good day upon good day, good game upon good game. Now you got to prove it again. Nothing's going to be guaranteed. Nothing's going to be given to this Oklahoma Sooners team. So, Jay, you want to do predictions? You want to talk through this game? How do you think that this one's going to go for Oklahoma?
My predicted score is 27-10. I think that we do a good job defensively. We get one defensive score. And that's how we cover the spread. It's not going to be the way that the fans like it. It's going to be the ways that they're going to hate it. But guess what? You want a defense. We've got defense, which means that the offense has got to catch up. It will in time. But this is not Lincoln Riley's offense. This is not Jeff Lebby's. This ain't Josh Heupel's, right? This ain't Kevin Wilson's. This team is built to where the defense leads it. And then the offense's job now is to hold the ball and run some clock. So I'm going to say 27-10.
Yeah, I think it's a much more efficient game for the Oklahoma Sooners than we've seen in the last 2 weeks. I think Jackson Arnold plays well. He might not put up big passing numbers. I know I kind of messed around, and I'm going to probably find out next week whenever they announce the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and probably not going to be Jackson Arnold. But, hey, it could happen. I think he plays a good game. I think it's another solid performance. It's not going to blow anybody out of the water, but I think the run game gets going a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's going to run for 300 yards or maybe even 200 yards, but I think they can run for over 150 yards as a unit and be much better than what they were last week. I'm looking at 27-13. I think Oklahoma covers, but barely. But I think it's going to be an efficient offensive day, and I think the offense puts up 3 touchdowns. Somehow, some way, they score 3 touchdowns. Tyler Keltner gets back on track with 2 field goals, and Oklahoma wins this one. And I will say, feeling pretty good about the direction when they come off the field on Saturday. You want to look at a few SEC games before we get out of here, Jay?
Yeah, let's look at a couple of them.
What's the game that you're most excited to look at or watch? It's not Oklahoma Tulane.
I'm going to be honest. The one for me is LSU-South Carolina.
Yes.
I'm really curious to see if South Carolina's for real, right? We know that what Beamer ball is. The offense has been okay, but we've also seen LSU struggle overall, but still have, Garrett Nussmeier is still having a solid season, 610 yards and 8 touchdowns. He played well against LSU. That Nicholls State game was not there was much to be desired, and it was mainly because their defense is just not very good right now, right? Yeah. South Carolina's defense is really good. Their offense ain't. Yeah. Their defense is really good. So I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Yeah, if they can get Lenora Sellers into space, I think they'll have some good moments. But I think the defense is good enough to keep it close. I picked South Carolina plus the points when I did my SEC picks over at Sooners Wire. So, hey, that served me well last week against Kentucky, and I think they're going to build on a really strong performance from that South Carolina defense. The one that's really intriguing to me is Bama at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, is kind of your prototypical, stereotypical, really Big Ten team, right? They're not going to be super flashy, high flying. We're going to see Tawee Walker against the Bama defense, so that could be a lot of fun. But you're going to get Bama inside the House of Pain with jump around. Will it matter when they go from third quarter to the fourth quarter? We'll see. But I think it's going to be a good test for Jalen Milroe and for Kalen DeBoer, and to kind of get that offense going early. They struggled last week against UCF, took a 28-point fourth quarter to kind of pull away from the Bulls. But I think Bama's going to be able to win this one and cover, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. There's a couple others, BC, Boston College, coming off of a win over Florida State a couple weeks ago, going to Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers. Listen, Boston College at one point in time in this millennium was a really, really good football program. It's been a long time since they were, but I remember Matt Ryan beating Virginia Tech and Michael Vick. I remember them winning the ACC. Like, they were good once upon a time. There's a chance they could be back to that. So this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by that Bama-Wisconsin one because, like you said, I want to see Tyree Walker and what he does. I want to see what Luke Fickell's defense is going to look like trying to handle Jalen Milroe. Because the last time that a Luke Fickell defense had to go up against Alabama, Alabama just ran it down his throat, right? Yeah. But this is not that Cincinnati defense. This is more of that Wisconsin defense, which is, like you said, it's a very stereotypical Big Ten team. I mean, they're not going to score more than 30 points. They're going to really manage the clock. They're going to run the ball down your throat. It's going to be hard-nosed, blue-collar football. I'm really curious to see if that's going to be able to win a game against Kalen DeBoer, right? Against the way that Kalen DeBoer's offense is ran, and if Bama's defense is going to be for real going forward. Because, I mean, they struggled against USF. Yes, they broke out at the end of the game, but that score is very deceiving whenever you look at the actual game itself. But that BC-Missouri game, Bill O'Brien's out for blood. And I would not be surprised if BC goes to Columbia and win that game, right? And just shock everybody. Missouri's defense has been fantastic and lights out against nobodies. They've been playing against the Sisters of the Poor, the School of the Blind. They've not been playing any actual teams that are even the caliber of Power 5, Power 4, or G6. Now, the question is are they ready for this quote unquote gimmicky type offense that's going to go out there and ball? Stilleon he's going to ball. That's what I'm curious to see if Missouri's defense is for real. That's where the questions lie. Yes, they have not given up any points, if I'm correct, so far this season.
Nope. 0.
Does that actually matter when you've played who you played? I mean, give it to us. We actually played two FBS schools, one G6 and one Power P4, right? We've actually played real teams. Missouri hasn't. So now we got to see if Missouri looks like against a real team. And Trayshawn Ward's going to go out there and try to get him some yards too. So if that run game happens for Boston College, I think Missouri's cooked. But Missouri should be able to get their offense going.
Yeah, I think so. Luther Burden's super fun to watch. It's sad to watch.
Theo Weiss is killing it
in that black and gold, and it's also sad to watch Theo in that black and gold too, but it's fun to watch him. Just from a football perspective, not from an anti-Oklahoma perspective. Mid-off of the week, Texas A&M goes to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. But hey, do we get to see more DJ Lagway? Will DJ Lagway put on another show? That's going to be interesting to watch. Connor Weigman, questionable, but is he really questionable? So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. I think that one can go a long way to helping either team get bowl eligibility. This is a big opportunity for Billy Napier to listen. Texas A&M may not be great, but it's a big name, right? And if you can beat a big name, that's a nice little bullet point on your resume. And then listen, pray for Brock Vandegrift and Mike Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats as they welcome the Georgia Bulldogs. They just got roasted by South Carolina at home this past week. So what are they going to do against Georgia? I don't think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I'm not even concerned about that game, right? I don't even think that game is even playing this weekend, in my personal opinion. But that Florida-Texas A&M was going to good one because we got Graham Mertz that's supposed to be back, but does it make sense to play him? No, it doesn't. I'm just going to be honest. We've synced this story. We've watched his movies. We know what the outcome's going to be. It's kind of like watching Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. You already know what's going to happen at the end of that movie. So why waste our time on that? Now, he's nowhere near the actor of what Tom Cruise does in those Mission Impossible movies because they get action-packed in an action-packed about our guy, Mertz. All you do know is that at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise wins. That's what we don't need. We don't need to see the end result. The predictable end result with Mertz. We need to go ahead and give us Lagway, put the young guy out there. For Billy Napier to save his job, Lagway's the way to go. I mean, we can gas him up early and be like, hey man, I mean, we saw the competition. It was Sanford, wasn't nobody, but still, he looked good. Let him go out there and just sling it, and just have fun at least.
What's the worst that's going to happen? Would you rather miss a bowl game with Graham Mertz or miss a bowl game with DJ Lagway? And just you at least took your shot, right? Because this might be the only chance that you get to coach DJ Lagway.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, and if you don't make it work this year, good chance you're probably gone. So
exactly, that's the difference between them and us, is that we know that our coach ain't going to work because he's giving us exactly what we said that we needed was defense, and we're getting that. And so with them though, Napier's on that hot seat.
Yeah, look for Arkansas to put on a show against UAB. Texas gets to host in-state UTSA. Vanderbilt has a chance to hit the over on their win total when they host or go to Georgia State. Otherwise, Auburn is hoping to not get beat by another New Mexico team for the second year in a row. That should not happen. If it does,
it's not a four-letter acronym. They're lucky.
Just fire Hugh Freeze on the spot if they lose that one. And then Toledo, a good offensive Toledo team, takes on Mississippi State, but also Toledo's bad defensively. So that's kind of your SEC look ahead for the weekend. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay on Twitter at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show on all the social media platforms is at Locked On Sooners. Also, make sure you go check out Jay at some of the spots that he's going to be around town in Norman on Friday and Saturday. We got to post it on our social media accounts. We'll also post it here in the YouTube channel as well to let you know where the party's at, where the home field parties are going to be at. Make sure you wear your home field apparel on the way there for a potential little surprise. But we cannot wait to break down Oklahoma Tulane with you this weekend and next week. So thank you so much for being a part of Locked On Sooners. Go check out Locked On College Football again to get you ready for a great weekend of college football action with Spencer McLaughlin as he takes you through all the top storylines, including, hey, the Pac-12 survival, kind of, zombie rising from the dead, maybe. You know, it may not be the same Pac-12, but it's the Walking Dead Pac-12. But until next time, cannot wait to continue talking Oklahoma Sooners football with you. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.